Andrew Makepeace Ladd III accepts with pleasure the kind invitation of Mr. and Mrs. Gilbert Channing Gardner for a birthday party in honor of their daughter Melissa on April 19, 1937 at 3:30 o'clock.
Dear Andy, thank you for the birthday present. I have a lot of Oz books, but not the Lost Princess of Oz. What made you give me that one? Sincerely yours, Melissa.
I'm answering your letter about the book. When you came into second grade with that stuck-up nurse, you looked like a lost princess.
I don't believe what you wrote. I think my mother told your mother to get that book. I like the pictures more than the words. Now let's stop writing letters.
I will make my L's taller than my D's.
I will close up my A's and my O's.
I will try to make longer P's. Pass it on.
You're funny.
Will you be my Valentine?
Were you the one who sent me a Valentine saying, "Will you be my Valentine?"
Yes, I sent it.
Then I will be, unless I have to kiss you.
When it's warmer out, can I come over and swim in your pool?
No, you can't. I have a new nurse named Miss Hawthorne who thinks you'll give me infantile paralysis.
Will you help me go down and get the milk and cookies during recess?
I will if you don't ask me to marry you again.
I will not write personal notes in class. I will not write personal notes in class.
I will not.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Love, Andy Ladd.
I made this card myself. It's not Santa Claus. It's a kangaroo jumping over a glass of orange juice. Do you like it? I like you, Melissa.
My mother says I have to apologize in writing. I apologize for sneaking into the girls' bathhouse while you were changing into your bathing suit. Tell Miss Hawthorne I apologize to her too.
Here is a picture I drew of you and me without our bathing suits on. Guess which one is you? Don't show this to anyone. I love you.
Here is a picture of Miss Hawthorne without her bathing suit on.
You can't draw very well, can you?
Thank you for sending me the cactus plant stuck in the little donkey. I've gotten lots of presents here in the hospital, and I have to write thank you notes for every one. I hate it here. My throat is sore all the time from where they cut out my tonsils. They give me lots of ice cream, but they also take my temperature the wrong way.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Why did they send you to another school this year?
Merry Christmas. They think I should be with all boys.
You made me promise to send you a postcard. This is it.
You're supposed to write personal notes on the backs of postcards. For example, here are some questions to help you think of things to say. Do you like Lake Saranac? Is it fun visiting your grandmother? Are your parents really getting divorced? Can you swim out into the deep part of that lake, or does Miss Hawthorne make you stay in the shallow part where it's all roped off? Is there anybody there my age? I mean boys. Please write answers to all these questions.
No, no. Yes, yes, no,
Melissa. Remember me? Andy Ladd? They've sent me to camp so I can be with all boys again. This is quiet hour, so we have to write home, but I've already done that, so I'm writing you. There's a real Indian here named Iron Crow who takes us on nature walks and teaches us 6 new plants a day. This is okay, except he forgot about poison ivy. I won the backstroke, which gives me 2.5 gold stars. If I get over 50 gold stars by Parents' Day, then I win a leadership prize, which is what my father expects of me. I'm making a napkin ring in shop, which is worth 4 stars, and which is either for my mother or for you. I hope you'll write me back, because when the mail comes every morning, they shout out our names, and it would be neat to walk up and get a letter from a girl.
Help? Yikes! I can't write letters. It took me hours just to write Dear Andy. I write my father because I miss him so much. But to write a boy? Hell's bells and oriental smells. I'm sending you this picture I drew of our cat instead. Don't you love his expression? It's not quite right, but I tried 3 times. I drew those jiggly lines around his tail because sometimes the tail behaves like a completely separate person. I love that tail. There's a part of me that feels like that tail. Oh, and here's some bad news. My mother's gotten married again to a man named Hooper McPhail. Help! Let me out of here!
I like the cat. Is that the cat you threw in the pool that time when we were playing over at your house in 3rd grade?
No, that was a different cat entirely.
This is a dumb Halloween card and wouldn't scare anyone. But I'm really writing about dancing school. My parents say I have to go this year, but I don't see why I have to. I can't figure out why they keep sending us away from girls and then telling us we have to be with them. Are you going to dancing school also? Just write yes or no, since you hate writing.
Yes.
Dear Mrs. McPhail, I want to apologize to you for my behavior in the back of your car coming home last night from dancing school. Charlie and I were just goofing around, and I guess it just got out of hand. I'm sorry you had to pull over to the curb, and I'm sorry we tore Melissa's dress. My father says you should send me the bill, and I'll pay for it out of my allowance.
Dear Andy, Mommy brought your letter up here to Lake Placid. She thought it was cute. I thought it was dumb. I could tell your father made you write it. You and I both know that the fight in the car was really Charlie's fault. And Charlie never apologized, thank God. That's why I like him, actually. As for you, you shouldn't always do what your parents want, Andy. Even at dancing school, you're always doing just the right thing all the time. You're a victim of your parents sometimes. That was why I picked Charlie to do the rumba with me that time. He at least hacks around occasionally. I'm enclosing a picture I drew of a dancing bear on a chain. That's you, Andy. Sometimes. I swear.
I know it seems jerky, but I like writing actually. I like writing compositions in English. I like writing letters. I like writing you. I wanted to write that letter to your mother because I knew you'd see it. So it was like talking to you when you weren't here. And when you couldn't interrupt, hint, hint. My father says everyone should write letters as much as they can. It's a dying art. He says letters are a way of presenting yourself in the best possible light to another person. I think that too.
I think you sound too much like your father, but I'm not going to argue by mail. And anyway, the skiing's too good.
Get well soon. I'm sorry you broke your leg.
Mummy says I broke it purposely because I'm a self-destructive person and went down Whiteface Mountain when without asking permission. All I know is I wish I'd broken my arm instead so I'd have a good excuse not to write letters. I'm enclosing a picture I drew of the bedpan. I'm serious. Don't you love its shape?
Andrew M. Ladd III accepts with pleasure the kind invitation of Mrs. R. Ferguson Brown for a dinner in honor of her granddaughter Melissa Gardner before the Children's Charity Ball.
I'm writing this letter because I'm scared if I called you up, I'd start crying right on the telephone. I'm really mad at you, Andy. Don't you know that when you're invited to a dinner before a dance, you're supposed to dance with the person giving it at least twice? And I don't mean my grandmother either. That's why they give dinner parties, so people get danced with. I just think it's rude, that's all. Straighten up and fly right, Andy. How do you expect to get anywhere in life if you're rude to women? Nuts to you, Andy, and that goes double on Sunday.
I didn't dance with you because I've got a stretched groin. If you don't know what that means, look it up sometime. I was going to tell you in person, but I got embarrassed. I stretched it playing hockey last week. The only reason I dance with Ginny Wooders is she takes tiny steps. But you always make me do those big spins, and we could have gotten into serious trouble. I tried it out at home with my mother first, and it hurt like hell. That's why I didn't dance with you. I'm using a heating pad now, and maybe we can dance next week at the junior assemblies.
I don't believe that hockey stuff. I think Ginny Wooders stretched your groin. And the next time you cut in, I'm going to stretch the other one.
You obviously don't know what a groin is.
You obviously don't know what a joke is. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Guess what? I'm going to a psychiatrist now. My mother says it will do me a world of good. Don't tell anyone, though. It's supposed to be a big secret.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I have a question, and would you please write the answer by mail? Because sometimes when you call, my mother listens on the telephone. And when she doesn't, my little brother does. Here's the question. Do you talk about sex with a psychiatrist?
I talk about sex all the time. It's terribly expensive, but I think it's worth it.
If I went to a psychiatrist, I'd talk about you. Seriously, I would. I think about you quite often.
Sometimes I think you just like me because I'm richer than you are. Sometimes I really have that feeling. I think you like the pool and the elevator in my grandmother's house, and Simpson in his butler's coat coming in with ginger ale and cookies on a silver tray. I think you like all that stuff just as much as you like me.
All I know is my mother keeps saying, you'd make a good match. She says if I ever married you, I'd be set up for life. But I think it's really just physical attraction. That's why I liked going into the elevator with you at your grandmother's that time. Want to try it again?
Help! Let me out of here! They shipped me off to this nunnery. It's the end of the absolute world. We have to wear these sappy mini blouses and learn posture in gym and speak French out loud in class. Pardonnez-moi, mon chevalier. Oh God, it's crappy here. All the girls squeal and shriek, and you can hear them barfing in the bathroom after the evening meal. We can only go to Hartford one day a week if we can find a chaperone. And there are only 2 dances with boys a year. And if we're caught drinking, even beer, it's wham bam on to the next train and home, which is worse. Can you come up and visit me some Sunday afternoon? We can invite boys to tea from 4 to 6. There are all these biddies sitting around keeping watch, but if the weather's good, we could walk up and down the driveway before we have to sign in for evening prayers. They've made me room with this fat, spoiled Cupid bitch, who has 9 pairs of shoes, and all she does is lie on her bed and listen to Finian's Rainbow. How are things in Glockamora? Who gives a shit how things are there? It's here where they're miserable. The walls of this cell are puke green, and you can't pin anything up except school banners and pictures of your stupid family. What family? Am I supposed to sit and look at a picture of Hooper McPhail? Come save me, Andy. Or at least write, just so I can hear a boy's voice, even on paper.
Just got your letter. They shipped me off too. Last-minute decision. Your mother told my mother it would do me good. She said I was a diamond in the rough. I'll write as soon as I'm smoother.
Dear Diamond, you too? Oh, I give up. Why do they keep pushing us together and then pulling us apart? I think we're all being brought up by a bunch of foolish farts. Now we'll have to write letters, which I hate, but don't let them smooth you out, Andy. I like the rough parts. In fact, sometimes I think you ought to be a little rougher. Love me.
I'm very sorry to be so late in replying, but I haven't had much time. I also have a lot of obligations. I have to write my parents once a week and 3 out of 4 grandparents separately once a month, and Minnie, our cook, who sent me a box of fudge. Plus I have all my schoolwork to do, including a composition once a week for English and another for history. My grandmother gave me a new Parker 51 and some writing paper with my name on it as a going-away present. But still, that's a lot of writing I have to do. Last week I was so tied up, I skipped my weekly letter to my parents, and my father called the school long distance about it. I had to go up on the carpet in front of the rector and say I wasn't sick or anything. I was just working. And so I had to write my parents 3 pages to make up for the week I missed. So that's why I haven't written till now. School's going well, I guess. In English, we're now finishing up Milton's Paradise Lost. In history, we're studying the causes and results of the 30 Years' War. I think the Catholics caused it. In Latin, we're translating Cicero's orations against Catiline. How long, O Catiline, will you abuse our patience? When I get home, I'm going to try that on my little brother. In French, we have to sit and listen to Mr. Thatcher read out loud all the parts in Andromache by Jean Racine. It's supposed to be a great masterpiece, but the class comes right after football practice, so it's a little hard to stay awake. In sacred studies, we have to compare and contrast all 4 Gospels. It's hard to believe they're all talking about the same guy. In math, we're trying to factor with 2 unknowns. Sometimes, I let X be me and Y be you, and you'd be amazed how it comes out. My grades are pretty good. They post your weekly average outside study hall, and last week I got 91.7 overall average. Not bad, huh? I got a letter from my grandfather telling me not to be first in my class because only the Jews are first. I wrote him and told him I wasn't first, but even if I was, there were no Jews here. We have a few Catholics, but they're not too smart. Actually, I don't think you can be smart and Catholic at the same time. I was elected to student council, and I'm arguing for 3 things. 1, I think we should have outside sports rather than keeping them all intramural. I think it would be better to play with Exeter than just play with ourselves. 2, I think we should have more than 1 dance a year. I think female companionship can be healthy occasionally, even for younger boys. And 3, I think we should only have to go to chapel once on Sunday. I think it's important to pray to be a better guy and all that, but if you have to do it all day long, you can get quite boring. And if you get boring to yourself, think how boring you must be to God. I'm playing left tackle on the 3rd team, and I'll be playing hockey, of course, this winter. And I think I'll try rowing this spring, since I always stank at baseball. Now I have to memorize the last 5 lines of Paradise Lost. Hold it. Back in a little while. There. That wasn't so hard. Maybe because it reminds me of you and me, sent away from home. I'll write it down for you. Some natural tears they dropped, but wiped them soon. The world was all before them, where to choose their place of rest, and Providence their guide. They hand in hand, with wandering steps and slow, through Eden took their solitary way. There you are. I wrote that without looking at the book. And it's right, too, because I just checked it word by word. It's not so bad, is it? In fact, it sounds great if you recite it in the bathroom, when no one is in the shower or taking a dump. Love, Andy.
Thank you for your letter, which was a little too long. I guess you have a lot of interesting things to say, Andy, but some of them are not terribly interesting to me. I want to hear more about your feelings. For instance, here are my feelings. This place stinks, but I don't want to go back home because Cooper McPhail stinks. And I haven't heard of another boarding school that doesn't stink, which means that life stinks in general. Those are my feelings for this week. Write soon. Love, me.
One feeling I have almost all the time is that I miss my dog, Porgy. Remember him? Our black cocker who peed in the vestibule when you patted him when you came back to our house after the skating party? I miss him all the time. Some of the masters up here have dogs, and when I pat them, I miss Porgy even more. I dream about him. I wrote a composition about him for English called Will He Remember, and got a 96 on it. It was about how I remember him, but will he remember me? I have a picture of him on my bureau right next to my parents. By the way, could I have your picture too?
Here's a picture of me taken at the Hartford bus station. I was all set to run away, and then decided not to. This is all you get until I get my braces off, Christmas vacation. But don't look at my hair, I'm changing it. By the way, do you know a boy there named Spencer Willis? There's a girl here, Annie Abbott, who met him in Edgartown last summer and thinks he's cute. Would you ask him what he thinks of her?
Spencer Willis says Annie Abbott is a potential nympho. I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's true.
Annie says to tell Spencer he's a total turkey. Tell him she'd write and say so herself, but she's scared of barfing all over the page.
Do you get out for Thanksgiving? We don't because of the war.
We do, but I don't. I've been grounded just for smoking one lousy Chesterfield out behind the art studio. So now I have to stay here and eat steel turkey with Cubans and Californians. That's all right. I was supposed to meet Mummy in New York, but it looks like she can't be there anyway, because she's going to Reno to divorce Hooper McPhail. Yippee, yay! He was a jerk and a pill. He used to bother me in bed, if you must know.
I liked seeing you Christmas vacation, particularly with your braces off. I really liked necking with you in the Watson's rumpus room. Will you go steady with me?
I don't believe in going steady. It's against my religion. I hated that stuff with all those pairs of pimply people in the Watson's basement, leaning on each other, swaying to that dumb music with all the lights off. If that's going steady, I say screw it. My mother says you should meet as many boys as you can before you have to settle down and marry one of them. That way you'll make less of a mistake. Oh, it didn't work for her, but maybe it will work for me.
Can we at least go to the movies together during spring vacation?
I don't know, Andy. I like seeing you, but I don't want to go home much anymore. My mother gets drunk a lot, if you must know, and comes into my room all the time and talks endlessly about I don't know what because she slurs her words. The only really good time I had was when I came over to your house Christmas Eve. That was fun. Singing around the piano, hanging up the stockings, playing Chinese checkers with your brother, helping your mother with the gravy. I liked all that. You may not have as much money as we have, but you've got a better family. So, spring vacation, I'm going to visit my grandmother in Palm Beach. Ho-hum, at least I'll get a tan. P.S. Enclosed is a picture I drew of your dog, Porgy, who I remember from Christmas Eve. The nose is wrong, but don't you think the eyes are good?
I'm stroking the fourth crew now. Yesterday I rode number 2 on the third. Tomorrow I may row number 6 on the second or number 4 on the fifth. Who knows? You get out there and work your butt off and the launch comes alongside and looks you over, and the next day they post a list on the bulletin board saying who will row what. They never tell you what you did right or wrong, whether you're shooting your slide or bending your back or what. They just post the latest results for all to see. Some days I think I'm doing really well and I get sent down 2 crews. One day I was obviously hacking around and they moved me up. There's no rhyme or reason. I went to Mr. Clark, who is the head of rowing, and I said, "Look, Mr. Clark, there's something wrong about this system. People are constantly moving up and down and no one knows why. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with whether you're good or bad, strong or weak, coordinated or uncoordinated. It all seems random, sir." And Mr. Clark said, "That's life, Andy," and walked away. Well, maybe that's life, but it doesn't have to be life. You could easily make rules which made sense. So the good ones moved up and the bad ones moved down. And people knew what was going on. I'm serious. I'm thinking about going to law school later on.
Your last letter was too much about rowing. Do you know a boy there named Steve Scully? I met him down in Florida, and he said he went to your school and was on the first crew. He said he was the fastest rower in the boat. Is that true or was he lying? I think he may have been lying.
Steve Scully was lying. He doesn't even row. And if he did, and rowed faster than everyone else in the same boat, he'd mess the whole thing up. He said he got to second base with you. Is that true?
Steve Scully is a lying son of a bitch, and you can tell him I said so.
Will you be around this summer? I think I've got a summer job caddying, so no more camp, thank God.
I'll be visiting my father in California. I haven't seen him in 4 years. He has a new wife, and I have 2 half-sisters now. It's like going to find a whole new family. Oh, I hope.
Do you like California? Write me about California. How's your second family? Did you get my letters? I checked with your mother and I have the correct address. How come you haven't answered me all summer? Back at school now. Hope everything's okay with you. Did you get my letters out in California, or did you have a wicked stepmother who confiscated them?
I don't want to talk about California, ever. For a while, I thought I had 2 families, but now I know I really don't have any. You're very lucky, Andy. You don't know it, but you are. But maybe I'm lucky too, in another way. I was talking to Mrs. Wadsworth, who comes in from Hartford to teach us art. She says I have a real talent in both drawing and in painting. And she's going to try me out in pottery as well. She says some afternoon she's going to take me, just by myself, to her studio in Hartford. And we'll do life drawings of her lover in just a jockstrap. Don't laugh.